tutorial. So this evening I'm going to show you guys how to register to vote. Now you might be going, Kelly, why are you asking and showing me at 10 to 8 how to register to vote and announce you didn't drop anything earlier? Well, the answer is, you guys, that I am doing this is because I am currently testing some new software. So I've got some software going on my computer, which is where I'm streaming this from, which allows me to stream across multiple platforms. So what's typically happened in Q&As in the past when I've done them is the software I've used has only allowed me to stream to Facebook Live, and thus only way you could watch them was if I shared a link to the Facebook or you watched the Facebook Live. But with this new software, I am now being able to stream across multiple platforms. So at the moment, I'm streaming on Instagram, Facebook, Live, Twitter, and YouTube all at the same time, thanks to this handy dandy technology. So I thought me walking you guys through how to register to vote would be a good way of testing it out. So that's the background over and done with. Now to show you how to register to vote. So let me explain why you need to register to vote and the important dates that you guys need to know. So, just because you turn the legal age to vote does not mean you're necessarily on the voting register. And to be able to vote in any election, not just the ones in May, you need to be on the electoral register. And you do that by registering to vote. So, before we get started, there's a couple of things that you need to know before we do the signy thing. Thing number one, if you have moved, then you need to register to vote at your new address. So be it you moved around Melton, you've moved to Melton, either way you have to register on the electoral register at your new address. The second thing you need to know is my little student friends. Now my student followers, I'm going to go through this in a little bit more detail in a minute. But what you guys need to know right now is that you need to register at your term address, i.e. the one that you live at when you're at university college, and your home address, which is the one that you go to when it's not term time, basically. As a student, you need to register in both. So, for example, if you went to De Montfort University and you stopped in Filbert Village, good old Filbert, you would register your flat address at Filbert Village and then your home address here in Melton. Same with any other uni. Just like if you were studying and living residential at Brooksby, but your home address was London, you would need to register here and you would need to register in London. So, without further ado, it's time to show you guys how to register to vote. So, if you guys are watching this live stream, there is a high probability, if not certainty, you can access the internet. And therefore, because you can access the internet, you guys will quite easily be able to go to https://www.gov.uk/register to vote, or just go straight up www.gov.uk/register to vote. If you've typed it in correctly, you will have a page that looks like this. You're going to scroll down until you get to register online. And there's going to be a nice big green box with start now, and it's start now in big letters. You're going to click that box. You're then going to let your page load. You're going to ignore the cookies, unless you want to accept your cookies, but just for the sake, we're just ignoring the cookies. Where do you live? So, in my case, I live in England. It will now load again. It will ask for my nationality. So in this case, I am British. What is my date of birth? So this is where you would put in the day, year, month, and year. So in my case, mine is the 2nd of August 1994. If you do not know what your date of birth is, or your exact one, you simply type it down there. You can use the ones on your official documents, etc. And you might have to eventually send identity documents through the post. Please note that slows down the process. So, next bit, what is your full name? So mine is that, and then that. Have I ever changed your name? So if you've done it by DPOL, if you've done it through marriage, etc., you would go, yes, I haven't. My gender identity has stayed the same, and I have not been married. So I'm going to continue that. Now, it'll ask for my national insurance number. So if you do not know what your national insurance number is, you will be able to find it at any particular pay statement, benefit slips, taxes, etc. So once you've typed all that in, it'll ask you to confirm your details are correct, and therefore you will be registered to vote. It's quite simple, and as you just saw there with me whizzing through it, it takes about 5 minutes. And the only reason I didn't finish it off was because I quite frankly do not want you guys looking at my national insurance number. Just think, I'm not saying you guys would do something dodgy, but you know what the internet's like. People will just take a look at things, and frauds are everywhere. So that takes us to the register to vote. So you've registered to vote. Happy days. And you would have now applied for your photo ID if you need to apply for your photo ID, etc, etc. If you haven't, make sure that you apply. Let me just search it here for the voter authority certificate. Whilst I'm searching it, I am just going to let you guys know that you're going to need to register to vote by the 17th, which I believe is Monday. So basically, if you've got nothing to do over the weekend and you haven't already, register to vote. As for, oh god, there we go. We'll just bring up the register for photo ID, and then we'll bring into the student bit before we wrap it up. So if you haven't got photo ID for whatever reason, you can go for a voter authority certificate. We've gone through this already on the Fakey Book page about what this is. You need to complete your application for that by 5 PM on the 25th of April. I believe, I will double check it and let you know in the comments if it's not the case. The 25th of April is also the deadline for a proxy vote. Postal votes is earlier on. Kelly, I hear you cry. What's the proxy? What's the postal? Proxy is where you ask somebody to vote for you. So, for example, if I was to do a proxy vote, I would fill in the form. I would send off the form. I would tell my mother, I would like to vote for Fred Bloggs, please. She would go down. She would cast my vote for Fred Bloggs, and then she would cast her own vote. So if she decided to vote for Susan Boyle, she would cast Fred Bloggs for me, and then Susan Boyle for her vote. Postal vote does what it says in the tin. You get the vote sent, you cast the vote, and then you post it. In the case that you are unable to post it for whatever reason, you can bring it to your polling station on the day. Right, last thing before we wrap it up, students! Because, you know, I preach about my little student friends all the time on My Melton, and there is going to be a little bit about young adults and students on the Q&As now, just to make you guys aware. Just so, once again, if you've got any questions, feel free to send them in. I've had a few of you guys already send some questions, and that's been brilliant. So, students, let's wrap it up with you guys. As I've already said, you need to be registered to vote at both your term time address and your home address. So, if you have not already done so, please make sure you do. Next bit you need to know is here. So, because we are a local council election, so this one here, there we go, we highlighted it now. Because you are a local council election, this is a local election, we're not due a general till press have said October of next year, which is good for me because that gives me just over a year to recoup after these bad boys. But I digress. Because these are a local council election, you are able to do one of two things. Thing number one, you can vote in either of the two addresses that you have registered. So let's say you're studying in Brooksby and you are at Brooksby 4th of May, you could vote in Melton. Alternatively, if we go back to our London friend, if you're at home for whatever reason, you could vote in London, barring you've registered both addresses. What you are allowed to do as a student, if you are able to do so, and I'm mindful that Melton to London and commuting there and back is a pain in the rear at best, you can, and you are allowed, because it is a local council election, to vote in both areas as long as the addresses are in different council areas. Let me explain what that means in layman's terms. If, let's say, for example, I live in the town centre, therefore I, would melt for council. If my university was in Loughborough, because they are run by Childhood Council, I would be able to vote in both. Brooksby, because they're covered by Melton Borough Council, they would be seen there. So please bear that in mind as well. So, thank you all for listening. Looking at the fact that my notifications have said that we've gone live everywhere, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the streaming platforms are going as they should be, which is great for me because it means that everything is working as it should do. So, with that in mind, I will be seeing you guys back here tomorrow at 1 o'clock, where I am going to be speaking to Sarah Cox from the Labour Party. You are more than welcome, if you haven't already done so, to send any questions in. If not, if you could jump on, and we'll see you then. Till then, guys, have a good evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye! Yellow!